Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Come on into this dimension. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, put a big like on this video today, as I'm so excited to bring forth Miss Pink Bella Aloha on YouTube. She's so amazing. She's somebody that I've been wanting to bring on my channel for quite some time now, as she has a lot of deep insight on just Ascension Mechanics. I think that she's a teacher. She's also has a lot of information and intel on Starseeds, which is what this show is going to be about today. So we're going to kind of dive into just all of the, questions that we have around Starseed Consciousness. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me, Andy. I'm super excited to be here. And aloha to everybody who watches this. I'm so happy to share today. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a little while coming to kind of put all this together for us to unite. I think our fields had to align a little bit, but I
agree. Like if we look back, this last year, how much everything has changed for both of us as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really has. And I wanted to let my audience know too, that I really, truly, genuinely see you as like a healer and a teacher, because everyone watching knows that when I did my Medusa piece that I got into that car accident. And so right after that happened, I contacted Pink Bella Aloha for a healing. And it was just really amazing. I could feel that you connected right into my field and you really just kind of reorganized my energy structures. So that was really nice.
That timing was so interesting because you had actually reached out to me a little bit earlier than that. It was just the way the schedule worked out. And then you actually had the car accident like the day before or something. So
yeah,
that was such divine timing.
It was definitely divine timing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to really get your perspective of Starseed Consciousness. I know that you've been, waking up to Starseed Consciousness for some time. Maybe just share a little bit about your journey and how you kind of came into the awareness of it.
Yeah, I kind of came in backwards. Like I came into it even before I connected with the angelics. And it was a bit of a shock. It was like you've traveled and were called to go, you get called to go and do all the grid work. I was doing it unconsciously. And not to date myself, but pre-internet, right? The internet was just sort of coming online. So I just got called to go to Egypt because I was moving to Australia. And I literally connected with the Sphinx and the pyramids in Giza more than any other location in all of Egypt, because I went to a lot of the sites, and I went back there for another month the following year with my crystals and just meditated there every day, and received a lot of downloads and intel. And then that reorganized, like we just talked about, it reorganized my field, and it took me 2 years to figure out what was going on. I came back to Canada and I thought, okay, I'm not fitting in. I don't really understand what I'm even doing here on the planet anymore. So I went for a reading, and the person that I picked to have a reading with just said, oh, you're not from here. You're like a starseed. You need to go and read Bringers of the Dawn and learn about the Pleiadians. And that was like such a shock to me, but it started to make a lot of sense. So and what's interesting is Bringers of the Dawn wasn't available at the bookshop. I got another book about the Pleiadians, and it was all about healing. It was all about working with the Pleiadians as healers. So like I can look back on that and go, wow, right? But that was a shock. I was such a starseed undercover. I really didn't talk about it publicly till 2017. Yeah, I think it's more, we're more free now. We're more open to share about it. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for all the work that you do as well. But back then it was like we were still undercover to a degree.
Well, I remember back in 2017, I think You had your channel then, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. I think I found you in that time or maybe even earlier. Was that the year you started or did you start before that?
Started in 2016 because I was helping Twin Flames. That was how they got me on line.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Good to know because I think I found you probably very closely then to when you started your channel. And
Yeah.
I think you honestly opened me up to a lot of the Starseed consciousness at that time. So
Well, that's so beautiful. We've helped each other because you've helped me as well, right?
yeah.
Isn't it amazing how we all bring a piece to the puzzle for everybody?
And the people we're truly connected to on a soul level, we end up coming 360 circle with, and growing with. So it is truly an amazing story. So you connect with the Pleiadians first and right away.
Yeah.
What do you feel then that's your soul origin, or do you feel
No, what's so interesting, Andy, is I just started looking into others' galactic astrology to help me remember more. So I always feel like whatever I bring to the table, however I help, and you and I sharing today, or when I help clients, I'm learning too. It's helping me remember more too. And it's just this last year that I think since January that I thought I'm going to just start offering galactic astrology, just the main point. So of course I looked into myself, and what I suspected was mainly Lyran.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. But the Lyran aspect didn't come to me till last year. I wasn't ready to look at it yet. So
That's kind
interesting.
of how it works, isn't it? It's like they come in when we're ready to access those soul Akashic records because
Yeah,
there's a gift there, there's a healing, and there's also like an integration of our personal Akash that we need to bring in. And
exactly.
that's what I've kind of found too. So have you found, because one thing I've noticed is because I kind of see it as you're attuning to the radial diversity in your body, that it can be more of like picking up on just the signature of the intelligence field or the light field.
Yeah, and or like almost like tuning to that radio frequency. Like it's time to it's I agree. It's all of that. It's like being able to finally look into the Akash, opening up that frequency within, and then being able to tap into the collective, the consciousness for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why I think it can be seen through astrology, but also seen through like channeling it as well, because
absolutely.
we can't pick up on everything just through the birth chart at the same time. Yeah.
No, and I know that you have been doing the charts, for a while, and I was really impressed by that. And I think I tried a couple of years ago to offer just even basic astrology with some of my sessions, and it was overload. Like it was so much research to do before a session. So I only offered it for a couple of months and then I let it go. But I feel like the galactic astrology came to me now, and I'm just so I could understand, like I've even got like a star map, app on my tablet now. Everyone does. I'm probably behind, but that's helping me also remember more collectively about the star systems and kind of what's going on out there as opposed to what we were told, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, well, today, guys, we are gonna probably do kind of like some little mini reads for each one of the 6 Guardian Universal Nations: Sirian, Pleiadian, Lyran, Andromeda, Arcturian, and Orion. Pink Bella Aloha is gonna read us some cards, but I did have some more kind of intricate and dynamic questions for you, just to maybe get your perspective, just because of current events and things that are going on as well. You know how we've had the uh, false flag events and the UFO sightings, and is it UFOs or is it this or is it that? And I think it's brought up a lot of attention around alien abuse and alien gene therapy modification. Like if you think about the Anunnaki and how the original prehistoric man was modified, according to genetic manipulation, all these things. So if you look at like things like grays or zetas coming into clone versus starseed consciousness, this was something I really wanted to be able to like clarify the difference between, because I think those things can get like crossed and then it can create fear.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I actually left a voicemail on my Telegram channel on Monday just for the group to not get caught up in the fear aspect of the false flag that's kind of going on right now. So it's multiple levels, right? So I will share with you, like last year, I really was forced to dive deep into the other aspects, the sorry, the DNA manipulation, things that have happened either to myself in other lifetimes or my ancestors. And I had to clear all the fear for me. So that, the fear is very deep for many souls because it is the genetic manipulation that's been passed down through generation and generation. And then you have to think about too what the film industry, the movie industry has planted all these seeds about these, landings and takeovers. And I thought back yesterday about even the radio. When people listen to radio, they did the same thing. So they've been, excuse me, let me just have a drink.
Yeah, no worries. Throat chakra. My throat chakra goes a lot too.
Yeah. So I left a little message for the group saying don't fall into it, but if it does trigger fear, use your tools to clear it out, because it's like an old echo, an old imprint. And there's been multiple storylines going on, right? So we've had the storyline of the beings that are still trying to maintain control and keep everybody cornered and in fear and not wanting to leave their houses, etc. And then there's the rest of us are going, oh, family's coming. That's awesome. Right? That's awesome. So, and I think too, from my perspective, I don't know about you, Indy, but I've been seeing ships since I was little. And they don't look solid. They're more light ships. So, I think when I started to tap into, initially when I tapped in with the Pleiadians, I was in fear because I didn't have that connection to source yet. Didn't have the connection to the angelic line either. So I didn't have any backbone. So it was quite scary for me because I too had that. So I think we've all been through all the little levels to do the healing and the clearing. And then once I realized that I'm working with benevolent beings that are also connected to source energy, that it feels different. So that's what I'm sort of letting, my tribe, anyone who's watching this, know we have to feel into it with our heart. And if it's something that's bringing up fear, just check in with it. Like, is it real? And right away I thought, oh, they're doing the false flag thing. they're trying to say that suddenly everybody around the world is working together, and telling us what's going on. And I just thought, that doesn't feel right to me at all. So I think like the Starseed consciousness is heart consciousness, it's soul consciousness. It's helping us remember our gifts, and the other aspect has been to hold humanity down. Which you have the dates, and you do all the research, you have all the facts and everything, how long it's been going on for.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too with I think there's many different levels and layers to Starseed consciousness, because I feel like on one level, you're telepathically transmitting with that solar energy or the solar gate or the radial light of that system. So you have that telepathic communication. But then there's also, I feel like it's like a surrounding layer of consciousness that creates like actual transmissions with beings, or, fourth dimensional through sixth dimensional. I guess they would kind of present as like a hologram, or like almost if they're bilocating to meet us in that space to communicate with us.
Yeah.
But then there's also like the 3D expression of it. Like we have aliens, and we have actual aliens, and we have these particular races. So I think everything that Starseed is mostly benevolent, but I think there's duality to every system in a sense as well.
Absolutely. Well, that's what I was forced to look at last year, was the Anunnaki, the Dracos, the reptilians, all the beings that had manipulated our DNA. And even just recently, I don't know how you experienced the comet, but the green comet that came in brought me so much intel, and it brought all of that too. So my team literally showed me how terrifying it was for the version of humanity that was here when it fell, and when they kind of arrived and took over.
So what kind of messages did you get from the green comet? Because this is something I haven't talked about much.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I was just on like a high for a week. It was just amazing. And then it left. And then I was like, woo, it brought me 50,000 years of intel. So I think the main thing it did was it's sad. You can go back and forward 50,000 years now and look at the timelines. And I was able to clear it for my ancestors, my bloodline, which is good. I also got downloaded with a lot of information. And then the other super interesting thing is it brought in something different for everyone. And you can still tap into it too, Indy, because it hasn't fully left our system. It's actually near the Pleiadian system right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of around Mars, and I looked at my star map, and it's going through Taurus, and it's going to be near the Pleiadian system till the end of this month. So it's still here. But literally, how did they figure out that it hasn't been here for 50,000 years? I guess they could tell just from the gases that it wasn't from our local solar system. So I just started talking to it and communicating with it and asking it what it wanted to bring me. And I'm still unpacking a lot of the information, but I had really vivid dreams, and to me, it was a message from source, just letting us all know we're going to be okay. Like, this was kind of the beginning of like there's a split now. Like, continue to keep choosing, the fifth dimension and higher, keep staying on your higher timeline, kind of watch everything that's going on. That 3D is probably going to get a little crazier, but that it was kind of like a don't worry. And the fact that it was green, all about the heart chakra, right? So it's like, don't worry, you guys are going to be okay. That sort of was the basic message I got, which was beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful message. That's good to hear that, because I don't know if I just had so much on my plate. It was really hard for me to tune in to what was happening with that comment. The one thing that I did kind of pick up on was they said that it hadn't came back around since the Neanderthal time.
Yeah, so that's what so that's one version of what Earth would have been experiencing at that time. I also picked up that it was very much connected to, it brought in, more intel for all of us around Lemuria and Atlantis as well, all of that. And I feel like to me, what it shared with me is like it completely changed the space-time continuum. It changed everything. So even though you weren't able to tap into it, it's changed all of us, and we're going to be unpacking it, for months. And it felt like at the end of it that it was like 3 eclipses back to back.
Wow. Wow. So, it makes sense because the energy has been so intense.
It has.
I mean, radical shifts and transformation for me personally on a personal level. So much has changed. So much, and I keep pulling my tarot, and I keep getting the unknown card. I've gotten that.
We're not like able to quite see. I think because the space-time, it's shifted the timelines. And what my galactic teams are saying to me is that it changed everything. It changed everything in our galaxy, in the solar system. And it changed, molecularly, it changed everything on this planet, but also all the other planets as well for the good. But it's going to kind of stir things up.
Yeah. And that was kind of the messages I was just getting, I think, around this false flag event, is that there's some level of guardian intervention that's going on in terms of actually preventing warfare. So even though it is a distraction.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think it's multiple level too. Like, I feel like in a way it's preparing the regular folks to understand that it's real now. Okay, so now the governments are coming forward and say, oh, look, the UFOs are real. So in a way, it's kind of preparing the regular folks to understand that we're not the only beings on this planet. And you're probably like me. I feel like we're still family anyway, but I feel like as a child, it never made sense to me that we would be the only inhabited planet in our solar system or in the universe, in the galaxy. That never made sense to me.
Oh, definitely. So, I remember being a small girl. I don't even remember what grade I was in, maybe like kindergarten, first grade, but I would always take all of my stuffed animals and toys or whatever out because we kind of lived on a farm at that time. And I would just pick a spot out in the field and I would set all of them up, and then I would start performing. And I felt like I was performing for beings that I didn't know, but I knew somebody was watching me. And so I was doing these performances.
I love that.
It's really interesting.
And I think, and if we can still tap into those memories being young, that's amazing, because when we're young, we're still so connected to source. We haven't been imprinted on the being here on the planet for as long as we've all been here. But yeah, there's multiple things going on. I mean, I'm like you, like I recognize right away, okay, really it's a false flag though, because I feel like it's and then, then on the other hand, maybe they're testing to see how much fear there really is. Like, is humanity as a collective on this planet ready to have full disclosure? I mean, I know a lot of us say that we are, but there might be a big percentage still that's not, so so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm not in fear about any of that. I'm sure that you're not either. As soon as I hear who's involved in the news and they're saying they're working together, like, yeah, no, you're not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know Stephen Greer was putting out that new video in March talking about how all these UFO disclosure movements are to cover up criminal activity by Willy Wonka. And I mean, I wouldn't doubt that's true, but then there's also this big narrative that Stephen Greer is also controlled opposition as well. So
it's so hard to know anymore who is doing what. I think that's the other thing that I came out of last year as well, understanding that even there's a lot of souls, we're all wondering what the next things are going to be to happen, because it feels like everyone's just sort of spinning the same story. So we have the 3D spinning the same story, and then we have the other communities, because nobody really knows what the next steps are going to be. So, you know, and I think that's what was so optimistic about the comet. It was just like, don't worry, you guys are being taken care of. And yeah, we have lots of benevolent ships watching over, making sure that the beings down here aren't going to harm, you know, the planet, because that will impact not only all of us here, but the whole solar system as well. So
well, that's what I love about you, is you are actually tuned into, I call them the guardians. You're tuned into the celestial angelics, and so you see that higher narrative that's serving humanity. I feel like the disclosure and the higher consciousness community, whether people want to admit it or not, they are generating and feeding off of the fear campaigns within that as well. There's more people spreading, you know, fear messages versus
I agree
what the benevolent messages are.
I agree. Yeah. And then on the other hand, they feel like they're doing their bit at this time. When I started to notice that the stories still seem to be the same, like even this year, they still kind of seem to be the same as last year. And I thought I could be sitting here waiting with my popcorn and not doing anything for years. So I better get on with it and just keep doing what I'm being guided to do. Yeah.
So with your connection to the galactics and the guardian consciousness, what councils do you think are doing the most for humanity right now? And how do you see their influence here?
Well, that's a good question, because I feel like there's been a real reshuffle with the Galactic Councils as well. Maybe you have been getting that too. Like sometimes when we feel like we're not really getting supported or guided down here, I go through periods like that too, especially through Mercury retrogrades. They've been going through a reshuffle too. Like there's been infiltration through all realities. So I've always, since the beginning, and especially this last year, I go to my version. So we all have our different version of what we think source is. Could be the goddess, could be the universe, whatever. I go to that energy now, and I ask that energy to send me the teams of light for me to work with. And I had to start doing that on a daily basis, because last year, my lessons were to understand about the dark beings, the dark ETs, and they even a week ago they came to visit unannounced, and my lesson for that was to stand in my power, ask who it was, and then ask them to leave, and they did. So they're aware of us. They just think we're amusing. I'm sure you've gone through your own lessons on learning about this. But so recently, I literally just asked Source to send me like the team, you know, the Archangel Michael lineage team, and then also any galactic councils that I can work with. They keep kind of changing their names, so I even labeling something, someone's going to say, "Oh, that's not right." So I actually just call them the Blu-ray Council of Light, and they're usually a mixture of Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, Andromedan, and Lyran. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I have kind of like a galactic narrative of galactic history that kind of runs in my mind. I've been so audacious, and I feel like self-experimental when it comes to trying to understand different systems that are not, I guess, of, you know, the original founder guardian groups, universal groups, because I've found that there is deeper narratives within them that are just not being taught. You know, they're not being exposed, and I feel like there's reasons for those things, that some of these other systems are, you know, carrying some of the things that are holding our core world wounding, that maybe they're not, you know, active in the collective because we're not ready to fully transmute it. Like, I'm really close with the Hydra system, and the more that
that's what you shared. And I don't know much about the Hydra system at all. So whatever you want to share about that, please do, because I find that interesting as well.
Yeah, I found I feel like it's one of the original primordial progenitor races that goes back to Lemuria, goes back to even the Pleiadians, that the Pleiadians, I feel, and the Hydra system somehow did merge into each other through the Lemurian time and the Lemurian people, because when you go back and look at some of this stuff, there's so much serpent ideology really at the core of these Stargates and sacred locations. And so
that's true. Yeah.
I wonder if the Hydrans and the Pleiadians, this is what I've decoded, if they're not, an evolution together, like the same similar soul group. And
Pleiadians just seem to be everywhere. Like every time I go and do research, there they are, which is so interesting that was the first group that sort of came to me. And then when I learned about my Lyran aspect this last year, that's what I found out, was that as a Lyran, when the Lyran system sort of imploded and many Lyrans left the system and they went to other systems, that sort of started to explain to me why I moved around to different systems, that different aspects came at different times. And then also many Lyrans did go to the Pleiadian system as well. Yeah.
She's talking about the electric wars. I think these happened like 550 million years ago. I think they're like our original timeline warfares.
Well, I think that's why I wasn't ready to look at it, but it made sense. Like everything went into kind of lined up, because there were a couple of years there where I was constantly moving around, and I thought that was my inner self saying there's a wound here, and it didn't have anything to do with me here on Earth. It had to do with being a Lyran and moving around to different different planets. So that was huge. That's huge.
Yeah. I think I carry the same wound, because I haven't been able to settle. I mean, I think I settled for maybe like 2 or 3 years at a time, and then I seem to be moving again. Like I cannot. It's been a pattern my entire life.
It's quite, and I feel like especially those of us who are super connected and used to being on ships and going, to many different planets. I think it's especially during, maybe during the lockdown period as well, pretty challenging for the Starseeds, I would think, the last couple of years. So what I found for me, I've stabilized my Earth star and my root chakra, but it took a long time. And then now that that's stable, I feel like I'm traveling more, astrally and galactically, as opposed to the other way. But it's quite normal, I think, for Starseeds to want to move around and travel.
Yeah. And when you're talking about the Earth Star chakra, so you're talking about the expanded 12 to 13 dimensional chakra body, which is something that you teach about. And it's kind of advanced Ascension Mechanics for those that are...
I keep forgetting that it's advanced because it came to me so early. But you're right. Yeah, it would be advanced for many souls. Yeah.
Well, I think many people do know about it, and many people are conscious about it, but I think there are also some people still learning that are watching and trying to kind of understand the Ascension Mechanics. And as you know, and that's why I feel like you're such a great speaker when you're talking about all this stuff, because you're teaching people about it as you talk about it. So that's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I wasn't really stabilized until I learned about it, remembered about it. I always just say it's remembering. And just to know, and that ties in with the grids. So what they always share with me is that when we go through sort of like an upgrade, a download, a new portal, that the grids are on a various level are being upgraded as well. Like everything's being upgraded. Yeah. So.
And that's kind of something that's some of the advanced stuff that I've channeled too, is the different light matrices, that they're all forming like a fabric grid inside the Earth's holographic matrix that builds our realities upon them. And I think that they, pin in at the Stargate location. So just as you were saying, when you're tuning into the galactics and you're having like multiple different sets of transmissions, that's what I feel like the universal Stargates are like as well, that there's usually like a 12 to 24 dimensional dynamic of origin or celestial communication between those gate systems. And that's what can be kind of confusing about it too, because it's so it's definitely advanced knowledge to speak about it in those terms, but it is relative, because it's how and why we manifest the collective realities that we do.
Yeah, and I feel like so because the grids are being, so I know the work that you're doing, helping to shift the grids and heal everything that's happened, which is amazing. And then there's the new grid system that's sort of overlaying it as well and integrating with all of that. And I think what I had to learn on my journey was to make sure that I'm connected to the new grids. Like that's what stabilized my root chakra. Like my root chakra didn't want to be connected to the old grids anymore. And I find that with clients that come to me too, like when I take them through the meditation and I do that for them, they're calmer, because I feel like as starseeds, it's super easy to be in our heart and then up and then the upper chakras and want to zip out. It's quite challenging to be in the lower chakras and clear and do the healing and the clearing. And then many starseeds remember lifetimes here and they don't want to be connected to the earth because they also know maybe what's been going on underneath, right?
Yeah.
So once they showed me like that there's a difference, you don't have to physically be connected to that version, but you can still stabilize that.
That's really good advice. Grounding yourself into the new earth template.
Yeah. So I had teachers like you, like I had teachers early on that talked about that, and it's like I would have been lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel so much better when I am talking about when I'm acting as a gateway for the information for the new earth to come in. That's some of my most ascended timelines that I get to experience is when I really pick up on it through the Cygnus system.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it comes a lot through Cygnus.
And that's with the C, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's a reason for it. It's because the Cygnus system is within the nanodiamonds of the Milky Way, and it's also a very active system in terms of birthing new stars.
Oh, interesting.
So because of that, we're always getting like the gamma radiation from the system.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I've seen all of the indigo template types in Cygnus as well. Like it's holding all of them. So I think it's
I got to go back to my chart and take a look and see if there's there.
Yeah, I would love to do your chart actually.
That would be awesome. I will tell you what's super interesting is because I know we chose our chart. Like I know that's what we chose, and that was that was our big clue. If you could just get to your astrology and start expanding beyond it, then you'll start to get a lot of pieces. And that was one of the first intuitive things that I did. As I was waking up, way before even my Starseed activation, I went and got my chart done because I met somebody who's an astrologist. And anyway, I actually noticed that I chose to be Gemini, which is very close to the Orion system. And that's when I started to go, oh, okay. So then I understood that I had aspects in the Orion system that I needed to heal and integrate and look at that as well. So that's what I've been doing the last 2 months or so.
So when you looked at your Orion origin, maybe just talk about that a little bit, because I know that's something that when people see Orion in their chart or just feel that they're a part of that system, sometimes it can be kind of like a rude awakening, or then they don't know how to feel about it because Orion
was a little bit like that. Yeah. It was, but then it clicked into place. Okay. Like I understand. So I think one of the cards that I used to always started to show initially was the Orion system over the pyramids. That was in one of the decks that I had. And so obviously there's always both sides to everything. So obviously I have fond memories of the solar system in one degree, like one aspect, because it's like everything. Earth, during Lemurian times was very high vibration if we were there. So we have good memories, but then if you were there during the fall, then it wasn't good. And it's sort of like the same, what they keep showing me is it's the same story in different realities. So what just came to me recently was that in the Orion system, that's what basically, and maybe you have other information too, that the original Star Wars movies were based on the galactic battles going on in the Orion system. Oh, and wow. that those of us that were trapped there, actually, many of us escaped from there and were able to come here. So even if we feel like we're quarantined here, what Source was saying to me, way easier on Earth than it was when you were in the Orion system. So then it made sense to me. Like for a while, I loved the Star Wars movies. Then I couldn't watch them. They triggered me. And now it's like, oh, I understand now. Like it was a story that had to come to all of us.
It's so interesting you use the word trapped, because right before I even asked you that, I was getting the words trapped, like their souls trapped there.
You know what, last week I felt, I don't know how it works for you, but sometimes things just come to a screaming halt, and I know like I have to do some clearing or some integrating. And literally and that's one thing that's happened since the comet, is that my third eye visual has been upgraded. So like literally I'm shown right away what's going on. I literally was taken with the team into the Orion system, and we picked up an aspect of myself that had been held, like it was kind of in a little prison thing, and brought it back. So yeah, so that in essence was a gift from the Dracos that came to visit, because I wanted to know why they were here. So yeah. Anyway, so
that is cool. So we can go back to these systems, collect our soul shards in those systems, reintegrate them.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of our biggest gifts here. So if we were still, let's say, in the Hydra system or in the Orion system, we couldn't heal all the aspects, but here we can, which is so amazing. So and I'm all about like just the healing, clearing, and integrating now. Like I just want to get to the next level so I can remember more.
Well, it's so important, because you just touched on feeling like that starseeds feel like they don't want to be here. And I hear that all the time too. They don't want to be here. And I honestly feel like it's because they haven't activated like the 9th and 10th dimensional field, like the seed of their soul and their purpose. That like the mission hasn't yet been
and then a big part of the mission is connected to the Earth Star. So that's also part of it. Like as soon as we can kind of stabilize and be okay about being here, then the mission can come online as well. So, and I absolutely relate to all of those starseeds, because I was like that for years. I was like that for years. Didn't really feel like I fit in here, didn't understand what was going on. So many starseeds are so sensitive and empathic, and there's so much dark stuff that goes on this planet. There, all this sort of stuff. I remember thinking this planet is just like, wow. But now I know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect out in the universe and the galaxy either. There's things going on there too. So Source actually said we're quite protected here, really.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
The galactic warfare, I feel like, can be very convoluted and misleading. And I honestly think it creates like cosmic frequency nets that just entrap people, not maybe permanently, but holds them in capsules of ideologies and belief systems that are limiting.
So that's interesting, because that's what they showed me, that there was a net that was around the Orion system that kept everybody in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe let's start then with the reading part of this, and maybe let's start with the Orions.
Okay.
Just to see what messages come through for them. And of course, we have the Orion Starseed Activator, guys. So if you're an Orion Starseed, you want to get your activator, as they are attuned to the system.
Yeah. So I wrote down like the crystals and the essential oils just to look at them. Because I studied, that was one of the first things that came to me too, Indy, when I was waking up, was remembering about essential oils. So I really appreciate that you created these for everyone, because they're amazing.
Yeah.
So this one has is attuned to the crystal obsidian. Is cassia an oil?
It is an oil.
Oh, so I'd never heard of that one before.
It was new to me too, but I had spent so much time experimenting, and I actually had the cassia in a soap that I used to use, and I always loved it. So I thought of it and realized that I could use it in the oil. But I think with the Orion one, what was most important to me was to have, I honestly wanted to put cedar oil in it, but it just didn't blend as well. So I went with fir, but I felt like it was important to have more of like a grounding vibration within.
That's what I was just getting. Yeah, it's ultra grounding. So what I did was I tuned into all the oils before our session today, just because I wanted to see if the oils had anything else they wanted to share, and then we'll see what else comes through. So the Orion blend, first off, brought me renewal and rebirth.
Okay.
And then I did pull some cards, but I'm going to pull these ones just to asking, and then I'll let you know what the other ones were as well. Oh, this is super interesting. Okay. I got 7, patience and planning. And 7, of course, is about moving forward. I'm getting like those that might be attracted to working with the Orion blend are feeling maybe a bit stuck. And that's what the grounding that we were just sharing about would be really, really helpful, like to connect to more of the earth elements, right? The moon card came in. So like there's still hidden information for all of us around the Orion system. And that I feel like that blend is just helping to feel more comforted about it. Like just, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And the cards that I picked originally were also 2 7s. So we have 777. The Chariot came in, number 7. And then also the 7 of Wands, which is about powerful manifesting and moving forward. So like what I'm getting is that any soul who feels connected or feels connected to the Star Wars movies, that they might have an aspect like that's been impacted by the galactic sort of entrapment of the Orion system. I think we all have, to be honest. I feel like all of us have been there at one point or another. That is a big piece of the healing to move forward, and that your blend will really help with that.
Okay. Good messages. All right. I like that for the Orion system. The Orions, you guys need to ground into your Earth Star chakra and into the new Earth template.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the next one that was, I feel like since we've been talking, the Pleiadian system has been poking us. It's been like,
I just got my God goosebumps about that one. Perfect.
And this one is rose and patchouli. And the rose, the rose just
so beautiful.
7 sisters, Mother Mary.
I think before I looked up what was in all of them, I smelt them all, and like the Pleiadian one was just, it was heaven. I love rose, so high vibrational, right? And then it has Lemurian quartz. So the message that essence brought me is heart chakra healing.
Beautiful.
Okay, we have a third eye activation.
Ooh, 6. That's why that one's coming through then.
Yeah. So, and that makes sense because that's what they've been talking to me more about, that our ascension mechanics are changing, they're upgrading, and that the heart chakra really is the key for us to be able to understand like the next mechanisms within, and then also the Stargate systems as well.
Because it's all through the heart resonance.
So our third eye opens more. It opens more when the heart is open. Sorry, Indy, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, totally. It's these oils activate all the higher chakras from the heart up to the crown. So yeah, I can definitely see that the heart chakra energy expanding up to the third eye, like that connection between
me too. Sorry, show the bottle again.
Beautiful. So on the front, there's these actual attunement light symbols. These were all kind of.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that.
I channeled those because those are like light activations.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, huh? It's kind of fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, now I'm going to look at the bottles differently now because I know about that now, right? So the confirmation card is Heart of Source.
Wow.
Right. So, and it's interesting. I just went to that deck. I didn't go to the tarot deck for whatever reason. So it just says all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity, which is perfect. Perfect explanation and message for the blend.
And for the Pleiadians.
Yeah. The original cards that I pulled when I was checking into this blend is number 21, the universe, source, universal energy. And then number 1, new beginnings, heart ignited.
That's a deeply needed message for some of us right now. New beginning.
I agree. I feel too like you do such deep work and deep investigation into what's happened to the planet and the grids, and it can really take us down. Like it's great, like it's fabulous, but you know what I mean? Like it just hurts the soul and the heart knowing what's happened.
Yeah. And I also find too that a lot of things that I talk about and do, they're so heady, they're so high information that sometimes it's hard to take in the information. I've had people tell me that like it's so much. I have to listen to it in increments, things like that. So I've been really kind of putting more of a focus on trying to ground it into relatability with the heart chakra, bringing more emotions to the things that I'm talking about to help make it more felt versus just heard with the mental aspect of it.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
think when I started tapping into your Gridwork videos like a couple of years ago, there was a while there I thought I don't understand what's being transmitted, but I knew it was important. Like I knew it was coming
Yeah.
in, but I remember thinking, wow, like this is amazing. And then I adjusted like within a couple months and I was able to bring it in. I just wasn't at that point, like I just wasn't ready. My neural pathways weren't ready to bring it in. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is a very high elevated
It's a total
information.
field recalibration in itself just to listen to it and activate to the information for sure.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah.
But I was actually guided by the Lyrans to do it that way. The Lyrans had came in and they had told me how important it was to speak in a way that was light encoded.
Yes. Yeah, I tried to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Maybe we'll do like one last messages for the Lyrans
Of
then. So
course.
they seem to be like coming through with this as well.
Well, you're going to love this one. The message they gave me is home, sweet home.
Oh, I do love that. I'm in home sweet home, Alabama.
I love that too. Yeah. So this is frankincense and myrrh and sea salt. Like frankincense and myrrh are like two of my all-time favorite essential oils. So on my journey, I used to blend a lot of oils. I still do blend a body oil personally for myself, but I started because I was moving around so much, I started pulling back from all of that. But I always have a couple of roll-ons with me, and one's usually frankincense, one's lavender, and then one's like
Yeah.
a blend, right? So yeah, and I love the sea salt as well.
That was the cherry on the topping of the cake with
Yeah, that was perfect because I'm such a mermaid and I don't get to even be in the ocean or near the ocean as much as I want to be either. I've been so busy. And
Yeah.
then I love that it's clear quartz and carnelian and also connected to the Vega system too.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah, I've been working with this one a lot actually. I wear this one the most so far.
okay, so came in with number 4, rest and rejuvenation. And the trees and nature, right? So I feel like that's what's happening. I feel that's what the Lyrans have been sharing with me is that you're like we're healing so much just with that Lyran aspect, and that it really is such a gift to be here. And that Gaia is so fully supporting us right now. Like if any of us are feeling I can't do this anymore. I'm feeling so down. Go in the backyard, put your feet on the ground, go up against a tree and just breathe. And that's what this person is doing. And you'll feel realigned. I actually called in the tree energy this morning, but because it's not where I am. It's a few blocks away. Just to ask them to kind of come in and help me feel grounded and rooted.
Yeah, I really felt that way this morning too when I woke up because I looked out my window and I was like, gosh, I need to go outside. But I didn't. I didn't go outside, but I will. I need to.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the 4 of swords, which is unnecessary worry. Okay, so I feel like that too, like the frankincense and the myrrh is very like those are like two of the essential oils that are in the Bible as well. Like that they're very like they've got all of this history to them. They've been around for a long time to support humanity. And all of the energy right now might be bringing up stress and fear for those on the ascension path and star seeds because we've been feeling like we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. And the myrrh as well. I think Mary Magdalene was a myrrh anointing priestess. So it's very, like you said, very biblical.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This one ties us right into that lineage. And the Mary Magdalene energy seems to be coming up a lot recently. I had Marguerite Rigoglioso on the show the other day, and she's teaching a whole Mary Magdalene course and everything. So
yeah, Mary Magdalene's really coming through quite a few teachers now with the Sisterhood of the Rose and helping a lot of us remember the high priestess energy as well, which is so beautiful.
Yes, initiating those high priestess rites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which I can initiate people to that if someone wants to do a Lemurian regression with me. I do that through the temple technology. So we regress into the Lemurian timeline, and then we reacquire the priestesshood rites and initiations and the healing technology of how to utilize the healing temples for whatever it is. There's thousands of healing temples in Lemuria that we can access.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is really cool, actually. It's so much fun. So much fun to do those sessions.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. So I pulled one more card. It also came in the Heart of Source. And it coordinates with what I pulled earlier too. So again, it's the Lyran blend is helping whoever uses it, all of us, to just feel supported by the universe as well. Like it's frankincense is grounding in a different way.
Yeah.
In a different way. So I'll just read it again. All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I really feel like we're just shifting the vibration right now just through this conversation. I can feel the connections coming in, and I can feel like the people watching also connecting with us into that higher vibration. It's kind of a miniature attunement.
Yeah. And I feel too like it's about just keeping our vibration high and having faith, Yeah. So the original cards that I picked for this was patience, which is a 2. And then source number 121, the universe, which is source universal energy, and that adds up to like a 221 or a 122 or whatever you want to look at it. So we had some number frequencies come in. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I wanted to actually maybe highlight your website as well, because you offer a lot of, and thank you so much for reading those 3 to us. Maybe next time we come together, we can do the other 3, because I think we're getting close to our hour. But
okay, yeah. Oh, I'd love that.
But I wanted to just share your site. I had it pulled up because you have a lot of things that you offer.
Ever changing.
Yes. But you do soul mission, life purpose, Akashic record readings, 12D, 22 quantum healing. So what is the 12D, 22D quantum healing session like?
So it is, so it just depends on where a soul is at. If a soul is just coming to me the first time, it would be a 12th dimensional chakra balance and healing and information. And then the up to the 22nd chakra system would be for a more advanced session. So yeah, that's sort of what they've been sharing with me, is that I really offer like quantum readings and clearings, and then we work on activating and opening up the new chakra systems and aligning with their soul mission and soul purpose and stabilizing the Earth star and all that sort of thing as well. Yeah. And just recently I started working with the Andaras. So I'm bringing in sessions now with the Andaras. They've been with me for 2.5 years, and they just started communicating with me.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago.
And Andaras are amazing, aren't they?
They are amazing. Yeah. So they were patiently waiting for my vibration to get to a certain point too. And I feel like it is connected to that Lyran aspect as well.
Yeah. I would say out of all the systems, the Lyrans is the most ultra. Like it's the most, to me, it feels the highest.
And it's
I mean, I think
it's so connected to the Sphinx in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel that too. Also, like the Regulan system, I felt through the Sphinx as well.
Okay.
Regulus, Draco, Orion, Lemurian. Yeah. There's so much there. So I just want to recommend I'll go back into my screen share, to go and subscribe to Pink Bella Aloha. I'll just show you her channel really quickly. If you're not subscribed, I would definitely encourage you to, because she talks about a lot of amazing stuff. She's always doing updates for Starseeds specifically. That's why I love you so much. It's because
thank you.
It's specific Starseed messages. Yeah. And so yeah, I think you always bring through a really powerful transmission as well. That's pretty aligned. And so yeah, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be hopefully doing things in the future as well. And so, yeah, guys, so stay tuned for that. All the links for everything that you also seen today in this video will be down in the description. And we love you all so much. Have a beautiful everything.
Yeah. Aloha, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.